Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that's all strategy with no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just long-term strategies to grow your Amazon and actually any business, as we've got a guest today who's grown businesses in multiple categories. So today on the show, we have Anatoly Spektor. Anatoly is a friend of mine, a serial entrepreneur, a six-figure Amazon seller, an IT consultant, and a podcast host, which is actually how we met, I think about a year ago. Born in Eastern Europe, we'll define where later. He then moved to Canada at the age of 21 before changing his career from software developer to entrepreneur. He worked at some of the biggest software companies in Canada, Red Hat, Thales, and that wasn't enough. So he started some side hustles. He is an agile, I believe, black belt. I'm really bad at what kind of belt you have in agile, and a consultant for that, and has a YouTube channel as well talking about agile and agile management. He is an ultra runner. He does triathlons. Maybe he's an ultra runner. He does marathons, and he has a wife and currently two kids. If you're watching this in the future, maybe more. We don't know yet. Let's ask him that question. Might be too deep a question for this podcast. He also hosts the podcast 10 Million Journey, which started out documenting his journey from $200K to $10 million a year in revenue. And now he interviews crazy, interesting people from Bali, where he's currently based, and maybe all over the world in future. So welcome to the podcast, Anatoly Spektor.
Ooh, yes. I would stick with two kids, just saying, for future. If you guys watch me in the future, I hope I stay with two.
4 kids. Awesome. Well, great to have you on the show, and thanks for getting up so early in Bali to be here.
Thank you for having me, John. And what I want to say is, I really think that you're one of the brightest minds out there. So you having a podcast is one of the most amazing things happening in the industry. So I'm very, very excited.
Oh, thanks for saying that. And I know you interview a lot of people, so I'm sure it's just your amazing interviewer skills, all the brightest minds. Cool. So, I mean, the really cool thing is, I mean, just like me, you know, we were both professionals. We worked in professional industries in the past, and actually, we both knew Thales from back, you know, from different sides of the spectrum, on the buyer side and the coder side. So, what can you kind of take us through a bit of your journey from, you know, from being a developer to wanting to be an entrepreneur, and how it all started, really?
Yeah, and just a quick remark there, the Thales was, I did agile consulting for them, so I did not do software development per se, but yeah, I helped run the teams. Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy ride. I don't know where to start. I was born in Latvia, Eastern Europe. Latvia was like part of USSR, and USSR collapsed, and all those small countries appeared, which was pretty grim. I'll be honest, it's just like, I mean, it was sort of a bright time where people can do things, but then also lots of corruption, and it wasn't that nice. And I never knew what I want to do in my life, so there was not a lot of good examples of entrepreneurship, because in communism there was no entrepreneurship per se. My dad was the entrepreneur, but he was doing some logistics business that never sort of, I never had anything to do with it. He didn't really share with me what he did, so I didn't really have good examples what to do, and I always was lost. I went to school. I was like partying there, like many young people do. University, partying. One good thing about business school I went in Latvia was that I met my wife, so I'm very grateful for that. But the rest was like, I just didn't go to classes. I was just partying. It was a good social thing, but nothing else. And then at some point was 2008 crisis in the world, and I was like, everything was even grimmer in Latvia. There was like, it's still recovering, and now it's like 2022. Can you imagine that? So I was like, oh man, what am I gonna do with my life? And then we visited Canada maybe a year before with my dad, because my aunt lives there. And I was like, okay, maybe I can just go and check out the place, see what's happening, because it seemed nice. So thankfully, my dad said, okay, go try studying there. But when the mindset is not there, you can go and study anywhere. You will get the same results. And I was like, I'm gonna go to a business school in Toronto. So I went there, and because it was boring and I didn't know, like, okay, I did not literally align. Okay, all this was completely weird to me. I just started partying again and doing not much. And at some point, they told me, well, you have two options. You can go to a criminology, which was the lowest sort of thing where you can go when you have lowest grades. There's like one thing they send you to like studying criminology.
Criminology.
Which I'm like,
So the
Yeah,
dumbest people. I mean, this is that official announcement. The
I have
criminology is the
nothing
lowest
against.
rung.
I have nothing against people who study criminology, but now what lady told me. So please have all the complaints to the lady in Toronto. She's like, you can get the criminology, or you'll just go away. But if I go away back to Latvia, this was even worse, and they revoked my visa, speeding visa, and I'm like, damn it. So I went back home for summer, and I'm like, what will I do? I mean, I want to stay in Canada, I like the place. I really don't want to go back to Latvia, but I'm really not good at like studying this management thing because I'm all about like real approaching things and trying things instead of just learning about how to manage people that you never managed. And also one of the epiphany was I met the guy at the party because I was all I did, and he's like, "What are you studying?" I'm like, "Management." I was like very proud, you know, how people are proud when I study. I'm like, I study management, and he was like, "Who are you gonna manage?" And I'm like, "That's such a good." I never thought about that. Like he's like, "You don't have any experience in the field. Who are you gonna manage?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good question. Why didn't nobody ask me that before when I started my path?" And I'm like, "Damn it, this is never gonna work." So, but in Latvia, I either was partying or I was staying at home. When I was staying at home, I was like chatting in like IRC. People don't know who IRC is if they're not as old as I am, but there was like let's say Slack for people of my age. And I was writing some bots for it just for fun, and I was like doing some websites just for fun because I didn't know what to do. I had computer very early on, and I was just coding things. And then I was like, maybe just go and start coding because I mean it's not like it's really inspires me, but it's something I can do and I'm doing pretty well. So yeah, I applied to a college instead of university, and college gives you just practical things. University for coding, you learn like algebra, all that's all for 2 years. In college, you go and you start coding in different languages, and I'm like, I love that. My parents was not very happy because they're pretty traditional. They're like, you need to get a bachelor degree, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, you know what? There's only one option. I can go there, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I went there, and it was actually really good. And to compare, if in university in Latvia or Canada, I was like the worst. I was like the worst of the worst. I barely passed just because I'm like, I want to stay there to just keep myself busy. In software, where I went to college, I completed at the top of the group. So I had like my GPA was highest, and I was awarded president honor list, which is like a big thing. The president of the college gives you some diploma saying you're so amazing. But I think what changed was that I find like, okay, it's fun. I have a purpose, and yeah, it just worked out. And then after 2 semesters, there was like an internship, and I got to work in this college research department, which was amazing. So I worked for their internship, and then they hired me part time, paying me like $16, $17 an hour for a student. It was a lot to work for them and build apps for them as a contractor while I'm studying. And then the next semester internship, Red Hat, which is a huge company, they hired me as an intern, and then I was so good that they hired me as a part-time there and was paying me much more, like I think like 22 or $25 an hour. And for people who don't work in IT, that's like a salary that they retire in that at that time for like 22, $25 an hour. That's like their like top salary. And I was making it in college. Then when I finished, I just went to like a couple offices, and they all were wanting to hire me. Maybe it's a good timing as well, because right now everybody wants to be a developer. At that time, it was about 2000, I don't know, 12 or maybe 13. It was like hot. So the guy was paying me, I think like 60 or 70 grand from like my first day of work. And then it went just out like 80, 100K in like a couple of years. And just because, well, I had fun and I could solve problems that other people don't see. I could just go, and there's a complicated problem, I would just break it down to smaller pieces and I solve it. I'm like, okay, any language, whatever it is, I can just figure it out. Because in most of my internship, they just give me the hardest task and say, if you don't figure it out, it's okay, don't worry. And I'm like, I will gonna figure that out because that's fun. That was good. And I live in Toronto. I worked with like we worked on Toronto Pan American Games, which were like Olympic Games but for Americas. So we built the greatest website. There was like 10 million people a day visiting the website. So it was like a big thing. And I went from being a developer, senior developer, and then managing the team. That was amazing. And then I
And
was
how
doing
long?
also
So sorry to
not too
interrupt, mate.
long.
Like, because I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, when you started 10 years ago, so how long did it take you to get to be a team lead? Like, how long did it take you to rise up?
yeah. 2.5 years, I was engineering manager of a team. So I was managing the team that built all the infrastructure for Toronto Pan American Games. And then it was like a startup. So we were like a startup part of this Pan American thing. So we built like a CRM, content management system for them. And then at some point, when games were over, they're like, well, we don't need that anymore. So investors just disappeared, and I quit before that because it was like, okay, it was pretty stressful because we had to build a huge thing in a very small amount of time, and I was like, I don't know, I liked running at that point, so I like to go for a run, and I'm like, I don't know, I would better run more and just chill instead of work so much. So then I just went to Vancouver with my wife. So this is how good when you find who you can be. This is how easy it is. I mean, I don't say it all easy, but getting a job for me was easy, and people are struggling getting jobs. We went to Vancouver with my wife, and I was like, let me apply for a couple companies, see what they think. So I woke up in the office of a charity company. I thought charity, it's interesting because I can do good social good and also work with developers. Pretty cool. It's a big startup called Charitable Impact in Vancouver. Actually, really cool. They allow you to do charitable donations everywhere. So I went to the office and they gave me an offer right there with the relocation. They say, here's an offer, relocate to Vancouver. So we sat down with my wife after that. We're like, are we moving to Vancouver? She wasn't my wife at the time. Was she? I think she was. Sorry, Anna. The timing, I don't remember that well. But we sat down at this bar next to the office, and we're like, are we moving? Yeah, let's move, because like mountains and nice yoga.
Yeah.
It's very like Bali, but very high end, and rains.
Wet and cold.
Yeah. It's not that cold actually, +10. I mean, compared to Canada, where
Latvia.
it's crazy. Yeah, we're in Southeast Asia right now, so yeah, it is cold. But compared to other parts that are less lucky, it's Vancouver's pretty good. So I moved to Vancouver. I started running a lot. They have the Stanley Park, a beautiful park where you can run all the time. I would run with my coworkers 2-3 hours a day. These guys didn't care. They're just like, do your work. They told me right away, in Toronto, you like hustle. Let's say like in New York, you go, you're busy, you hustle. Here, we take things slow. I'm like, I like that. Let's do that. So I was like running and chilling. It was nice. It was very nice. I met a couple of great friends and had lots of fun. The problem with first startup and second one, that you have this vision, you want to build something, and then somebody on top can make some decisions, or they're entrepreneurs, which I completely understand. They may make some mistakes, and then in the end, things change. So for 2.5 years, it was fun, and we're building cool stuff. But then the management changed. They wanted to go different routes, and I was like, maybe it's not what you guys should do. Well, I was very cocky at that point. I think that if you don't know the whole picture, it's not very good to let management know that you need to change everything. But I was always vocal, and I was like, I guess I should leave. And for me, it was at that point, I was like, I don't like that somebody else making all the decisions. Like, I cannot phantom that I have no control. I just work my ass off really, really hard, and I build cool things, but then I don't have any control. So at that point, I started dabbling into, okay, I need to start building something of my own, because at the end, I'm the type that I cannot just phantom working for somebody else. It makes me stressed out. So I started I met the guy that was running, and we were talking about things, and he also was on the same boat. He was like, I don't know, pretty bored. He wasn't a developer. He was just doing some boring stuff. I don't remember what. But he did great things, but he thought it was boring. I'll put it that way, because he might be watching. I think he's an amazing guy, but I think he was bored. He's now doing some cool stuff other places. Won't name any names. He was like, maybe let's do this dropshipping thing. I'm like, what's dropshipping? He's like, well, you don't need any inventory. You just create a Shopify store and just go with that, and people buy your stuff, and then your manufacturer send you things. I'm like, ooh, awesome. Let's do that. So we bought a course. I don't remember which course it was, but the course was good. You find the niche, and then you work in a niche. But I was, again, very ignorant to things. So I was like, what are we going to do? And we found the niche of storage sheds. For people who are not from US, storage sheds is like you put this big thing that you need to assemble, huge thing in your garage and store your boat or any other things you want to store. So we're like, okay, we went to San Francisco, opened like bank account, because they need like American bank account. It wasn't easy. We did that. We opened like a company, and then we signed up a couple of people. We didn't have anything, but we're like, maybe can we sell your sheds? They were like, Yeah, sure. And it's a bad sign if somebody just saying you to, yeah, sure, it's probably not going to work. So we put a Shopify store and it was cool. And then we didn't have anything, nothing. Then you would expect people to come, but they don't come. So we ran in ads, we are paying a lot. And then we start getting calls, which was even worse than when you don't get any sales because I know nothing about storage sheds. I actually cannot assemble IKEA furniture at all. Like I need to have call my wife or hire somebody to assemble like IKEA table because I have no clue. Like this, I can build very complex programs, but assembling things in my hand, like this is like impossible. So it's like, damn it. People call me and they're like, okay, I have this boat. It's like 6 meters long. I need to put in a shed. What screws should I use? And I'd be like, what? Sorry. And they're like, yeah, what screws should I use? I bought a shed. I'm like, damn it. I have no idea. So I was so stressed out. Then my wife started taking calls. She didn't know anything either. So she was stressed out. And then people would buy things. One guy bought like shed for, I think, 17 grand, like something like really big. We're like, yes, finally we're doing it. So I'm calling my wholesaler and I'm like, we need to send this guy this thing. And they're like, no, we're out of stock. We don't have that anymore. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I have to return all this money back. So that was just the craziest thing. And I realized, yeah, I mean, I think dropshipping works well, but you really need to have your systems well. And I was like making so many mistakes. And if it can, one thing that people should take it, like, don't get into businesses that you don't like and the products that it's very complicated, that needs assembly and you know nothing about them. So that was my big mistake. And then make sure that you have a system with a wholesaler, probably automated, that can do this restocking of things. So at some point it was so stressful, the guy just that we ran with, he just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm leaving. And I'm like, well, good, because we're gonna close it anyway. And then we was like, okay, let's make something really easy. There was this thing called print on demand, where you can print on t-shirt whatever you want. I hired a couple designers who did print on demand, started selling this, but margins were low. And we're like, okay, it also doesn't work. And then we found Amazon. So we started selling with Amazon, make also tons of mistakes. For our first product was binoculars, green binoculars, because we did the research, we bought a course, really good course, amazing selling machine. Everybody knows it. It's really good. But again,
I
I
did
have
that
my
one too.
twist on things. Amazing. It's a good course. But I have my twist on understand what people say. I think I'm always smarter than anybody who already went through this. I'm like, you guys are, everybody buys green binoculars. I'm going to launch green binoculars. And we're going to add some weird magnifying glass to it. We're like, we actually asked manufacturer, what else do you have? They're like, we have this shit. I'm like, that will work. So we just
The
throw it
Chinese
there.
version of just add more
Yes,
stuff to
yes,
make something to make it
yes.
higher quality. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I had a very Chinese kind of mindset there. So we just throw it there. We put it on there, and nobody's buying. And I'm like, why the hell's nobody's buying? But then if you look at the first page, there's green binoculars with like 1,000 reviews, and our green binoculars magnifying glass. It looks exactly the same with 0 reviews. And then we were like, damn it. And then one thing happened. I think somebody went out of stock. They started buying ours. And we only bought, I don't know, maybe 200 units. And then people are buying ours for a couple of days. And we're like, yes, we are finally rich. We're gonna happen. We're gonna make it. So let's put a bigger order. We put an order for like 10 grand. I put not all, but like big part of my savings there, and the sale stopped. But I already had the order, and I'm like, damn it. And then I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. It just doesn't work. So it took a couple of years. In Q4, we sold it all slowly, but like we did. I think we made our money back, but never made anything and lost 2 years. And then we're like, yeah, it doesn't really work. Start looking other products. Start supplements, because supplements was good, and it was actually much better. I learned that okay, we need to make it unique and make it speak to people. As soon as I started doing that, it completely changed. People start buying. So we had a friend who was suffering with PCOS, which is like polyvary syndrome, where I mean it's like condition that people have, hard to get pregnant, and some other things. So people are buying 2 supplements separately, and they were costing them lots of money. We combined them in one. We made it very pinkish, like speaking to female. We put it there, and we started selling right away. So we were like, get 20 units, 20 units. It was amazing because we were speaking to the right audience. Something I really learned. You need to speak to the right audience, factory, that people like it and make it different. If it's not different, just forget about it. But the problem was that supplements had their own issues. So we had some complaints, and they suspend our account. And you know better than me because you're in this business. There are some ways how to deal with that, but I did not. So we started calling them. Nobody was replying, and it just like took us 6 months to get back. Like we had a lawyer review our listing, and nothing worked. And I remember at one point I just removed all my description, submitted it back, and they just brought it all back. And I'm like, damn it. And we wrote to Jeff Bezos, and his team replied to us, "You'll never get back. This is a product that cannot be there." People were telling us a whole bunch of bullshit. That was completely wrong, and essentially, then they reinstated, but it was too late because there's products like ours everywhere, and we had to drop it. But then essentially, I learned that you just need to make product people would relate to, and from there we started building those products. And every product we launch, people buy it. Sometimes we make other mistakes, like we're doing a category that was not super legal. I mean, people sell it, but then there's like ways around, and Amazon will
Not super
suspend
legal.
you.
Do you still sell these products?
No.
What was it then?
It's legal, but like we sell CBD products, so it's not. It's like
okay.
a gray area in US. So we didn't sell like cocaine. We just sell something that in Amazon is like Amazon rules say you cannot sell CBD product, but if hemp product, CBD product, you can call it hemp and do a whole bunch of things. Yeah. So at some point we just had to drop it because there's just too many things. So we need. For people who are listening, just focus on simple things. Simple things sell better, and like make simple things amazing. Look what you can sell on Amazon. Go for that. So
I think that's
now
a
we
great
are.
one. Like making simple things amazing. Like whatever you do, don't try and be the most complicated person out there.
Yeah. Because I think when you're a new entrepreneur, you always try to like go like this perfect route, make something complicated and beautiful. It's all good, but if people don't need that, you can achieve the same thing with simplicity. So and then in the middle, it's something that I did not talk about. After startups, I was doing this agile work and helping teams to work better because there are project managers, developers, all this kind of people that need to work well. I started doing this startup. And then when I left, when my dropshipping business was going on the side, I will start to work as an agile consultant. I opened a Define Agile channel where I teach teams how to be agile. It was also very, very rewarding. So I was working with companies. I worked with like Government of Jamaica, helping their teams. I was working with TELUS and all those kind of cool companies and helping them to be agile. I still do that. Still have a YouTube channel. And at that point, I also decided to move from running to triathlons. I complete Ironman triathlon in 6-month training, and it's almost cool. But I think all of this was for me to prove myself because I didn't know where I belonged. And then the COVID hit at some point. I was traveling. We started traveling with my wife, so we left Vancouver. We left. We left our kid. That was funny. We took our kid.
You bought the kids
5 months old. Yeah. We took our kid who was 5 months old, and we started traveling around the world. And it was beautiful working IT. I found like a remote IT job that I could work and pay my bills. Amazon, we did some Amazon. We traveled around and did some agile consulting as well. And we traveled for 2 years all around. And then COVID hit. We get stuck in my favorite place of Latvia. They just closed the borders. And I'm like, this is the only place that you want to get stuck. I'm stuck here. Hard to network. People are very like the culture. Like people are not very open. So you're not like on Bali. I can come and like sit in a coffee shop every day and I meet like 5 people every day. In Latvia, never happened to me. Like I lived there for like 21 years.
I like Latvia. Latvia's a great country. Good people, good food. Only 2 million people though. So I mean, you basically met everyone within like a few weeks.
What I learned when you speak English, and now I mostly speak English there, you have a different sort of, you're in the hands of God. People are more friendly with you and everything is cool. When you speak their language, like I speak Russian. I mean, Russian culture is, and I can understand, they were suppressed for many years. So they're pretty closed, and I think that's just a cultural thing. So it was hard for me to connect. I think now when I go, I can connect much better with people. But at that point, it was also on me because I was I had issues that I figured resolved over time. Yeah, don't we all? And then I got stuck in Latin. Like, I need to network with people. I need to do something. So I'm like, I also want to grow my podcast 10 million. I think that's a good number. And I just speak it because I think 10 million is like 1% of businesses are in 10 million. So it's cool, and I can network with amazing people, and I also can find mentors. The best people in the world can help me. That was my big vision. I started under the tree in Latvia in 2.5 years ago. I was recording on my iPhone and my Memos app, and then 2 years later, I'm talking to. We found Bali, so we traveled all around afterwards. We went to Bali, living here for actually a year and a half, almost 2 years now. So a big part of the podcast is in Bali. And now I record in a beautiful studio in a jungle of Ubud. And I found so many amazing people in Bali. So my vision from getting 10 million to most like waking up souls, talking to people about crazy stories and sharing their experiences from like craziest story. People losing memory at 18, people channeling some divine beings, all those kind of interesting things that people don't talk about, plant medicine, all those kind of things. So I talk a lot about entrepreneurs. I talk to many successful Amazon sellers, but I also talk to some very cool people, mind-blowing stories in Bali. It's a very short story, a very short version of the long story. I don't know.
We should do a long version sometime. The hours of that's cool. Thank you for sharing your story.
5 hours
There's so
of
many bits
Anatoly's
there.
life.
And just as we were talking about before we started the episode, the whole when you start talking to people who have these experiences, and they seem like lucid people who seem sane. But my version of the world and my experience of the world is so different from how this person describes what they experienced and what they've done. It makes you question, doesn't it? Like, what is reality and what's true? Because these seem people like sane people.
Yeah, this is exactly what I do it. I mean, we live the world itself. We don't know what's right or wrong. There's no there's a lot of things like all those religious things and things like that. There's no pure facts about things. So that's why, I don't know, somebody's talking about astrology. I used to talk to astrology and I never had any connection with astrology. But then this woman says she says a lot about me that I can relate to. So I'm like, well, who is right? I don't know. And I'm very curious. So there's a lot of things that I don't take for face value, but I love the stories and I don't know what's true, what's right or wrong. And the more I do this, the more I'm in the state that I don't know anything. So, and I love it. I think that fuels my curiosity and gets me a big purpose.
I love it. And just a couple things you mentioned. One thing was like, oh yeah, I like running. I was spending 2 to 3 hours a day running. You said, like, who runs for 2 to 3 hours a day? You just go outside and you just take off? Like, where were you going?
So our office was next to Stanley Park, which is a beautiful place. So Vancouver is cool with that. And I guess sometimes we ran for a long time because, well, you can go to office and work, or during the day you can go with your coworkers, talk and run. So when you have,
I can't imagine that being like, oh yeah, let's just go for a 3-hour chat and run.
It was very slow. So you run slowly and then you chat, and maybe for the next half an hour you go have some lunch. It wasn't every day, but it definitely was pretty common. And we worked really hard, but then we also had a lot of fun. So yeah, I loved it. I think that's
cool. I suggested to my leadership team, if any of them are watching, let's do a 3-hour running meeting.
Yes.
Well,
and then
such good condition.
From there, I did like 5 marathons out of it because I was running anyway. So you run for 3 hours, 4 hours, who cares?
You log it as work time as well. Was your marathon logged as work time?
I don't know. And then I started swimming and cycling, which took me like 30-40 hours of my weeks preparing for Ironman. So yeah, I'm very appreciative to the company and to Vancouver that I could do this. Really cool stuff.
Yeah. And you said what used to motivate you is you wanted to prove something. And I think that a lot of people listening, watching will identify with that. It's a motivation for a lot of us to get going is to prove something. So do you think that's changed throughout the last decade, or do you think you still have it? I guess we all have it, but like what motivates you these days, do you think?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of external motivation. I think when you dig really deep, and I did a lot of deep work on like mindset, which can be like 5 hours to other podcasts, but essentially we start with childhood. Sometimes we see like, okay, we want attention from parents. They don't give you attention that you need. My parents are very busy. And I think I was always trying to prove that I'm like this good kid. I'm like, I deserve it. And
Worthy.
so then Yeah, and I don't think they did anything wrong. Everybody, like I'm as a parent, and I do the same mistake to trying to just go hard and just build a life for your family. But
Mm.
then the most important is just like relationship and just being close. And then it sort of it spills out. Then you're like in a company where your boss might not notice you, and then you have like, okay, I need to proof, and then like I will show the whole world that I can run and I can complete an Ironman that is like crazy race or like marathon, and then you do like 180 kilometers bike, and then you do 4 kilometers swim, and then you do a marathon. And then one day
Wow.
I can do that. I can prove people that I can do that. And I realized at some point it never makes me happy. Same as like I will prove everybody I can make like tons of money. It never makes me happy. What makes me happy is just knowing who I am and just being okay with who I am, being okay with my flaws. And I think being going somewhere and proving something to yourself is cool, but at some point you need to realize, well, you can try proving everything, but it doesn't give you happiness. There's no relationship between fulfillment and doing that. Fulfillment is in serving others. Let's say if you have a product that serves others and it's amazing for them, or you help somebody, like when I started doing agile coaching, it was very rewarding because I could go and I could change dynamics. I have personal relationship to people. I have podcasts. I can share those amazing stories that nobody else is telling about. A lot of my podcast guests are their first podcast, and they never
Mm.
spoke on camera. And I go there and we share and we connect. And I think, and that builds friendship and a community. All those things bring me fulfillment. Just getting a lot of money, and I talk to a lot of big entrepreneurs making billions of dollars, and I see how many of them are unhappy because this is their focus, and they cannot find what is else. They just they narrow down on thing, but they realize that it does not fulfill them, but they still keep on going. So I think if somebody's listening and they're in the same boat, just stop a little bit and think like, what do I want to do, like what fulfills me, and do more of this. So yeah, that's my short answer to a
Impassioned
long question.
speech. No, I agree. Totally agree. Like the
Yeah,
whole, I noted this down before. Everyone says, experiences over things.
yeah,
Experiences
yeah,
over stuff. But
completely.
I
Yeah, I
think
used to
even
have.
above that, like
Yeah, sorry,
relationships.
go
So,
for it.
so even above
Yeah,
that, relationships. So relationships over experiences over stuff. If we can invest in relationships and spending money to go and see someone in person or chat to them
yeah,
or something or buy them
yeah.
dinner, like even better than the
The
experience on our own,
yes,
because it sucks just doing things on
yes.
your own.
Yes, and I mean, I lived it all. That's why I know, and not all, but I lived those different phases. Like I had a
Mm.
fancy car in Toronto, I had like this fancy apartment, fancy villas, and now I don't have a car. I don't own a house. I have like I wear the same things all the time. Like it doesn't bother any of that me because I
Mm.
feel I'm in a place where at least striving to the place where I'm just fulfilled, and I don't even need more. That's why this 10 million is changing. It's also shifting. I had this goal 10 million, but I didn't realize that it also makes me like grinding and working hard. I realized that
Mm.
working is important, but it's much more important to have those experiences and moments and build your life into that you can support yourself, but also serve people while you're doing it. And on the other end, have more time on experiences. I think that's the beautiful this golden middle that people should strive for. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Um, and I know you also work with people to help people like achieve what they want within like a short period of time. You've been a guy
Yeah.
who's, you know, in 6 months, you said prepped for a triathlon, which is pretty crazy. You've run for hours. I don't think I've ever run for more than a couple of hours. Um, I know we did a lot of walking. So yeah, I mean, how do you support people doing that?
I mean, these it changes, right? It changes through time. I know that I work in a lot of making sure that people have free time. I think the most important thing is have time to run, have time to do what you want to do, because we all have the businesses, we all have everything, and it's just impossible for us sometimes to find time, especially to do everything. So what I learned for myself is like create automated life design where I only do things that either bring me joy or that I have to do for particular reasons.
Mm.
And I don't do a lot of things for the second category. I'll be honest. Like if you look at my life right now, I don't. I mean, I like cooking, I guess, but I don't cook. I have like I don't babysit because I have a nanny most of the time. I just have experiences with my children most of the time. I don't have a car, but I have a driver who drives me everywhere I want. I don't schedule my meetings or reservations or whatever. I have this all, somebody's doing that. So I believe that's a big part of like automating your business is great, but also automating your life and making sure that the processes are there and somebody's taking care of you. Because if you don't have somebody taking care of you, you have to take care of everything yourself, and then you're really, really struggling. If you have to cook your food every day for like, and then you have to sit with your kids, you have 2 kids, like how would you build a relationship with your wife, let's say? How would you do podcasts and have space in your head instead of just being stressed out to to do cool things, right? So for me, I think that's what these days, this is what I try to help people with. Like, how do you automate things, and how do you bring process, and how do you have more time, and then try to find your sweet spot where you enjoy yourself. You know.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree. And it's, yeah, I mean, we're so lucky, aren't we? Living in Southeast
Yeah.
Asia, those things being affordable, and not saying that we can't just make more money and have the same thing anywhere in the world, but the lifestyle we live makes these things actually in some ways easier
Yeah.
than
I
than
would
having a
agree.
full-time staff.
Yeah, I also lucky is a good word, but I also think we chose some path that lead us here. So I
Mm,
guess there's some luck, but I mean, and there are some decisions that were made for you to be able. Like you could right now work in the office, but you chose to pursue, take a little bit of risk, and choose a different life. But if you live in, like when I was living in Vancouver, I already had like somebody who was like, I had a virtual assistant helping me with some research and doing a whole bunch of different things. So they're not very expensive,
mm,
and there are ways to hire great people who for okay price that you can afford. Anybody who works in the office can spend, I don't know, $400 or $500 with somebody who can save them time, because
mm.
money is a resource that you can make money. Money is everywhere. Time, there's no time. So I think
Yeah.
focusing on time is much more important. Yeah. And people can do it
No,
anywhere, I believe.
and that's true, isn't it? Like we've all chosen what we want and continued to pursue it until it works. It's all about
Yes.
continuing to pursue it until it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And of everyone I know, like if anyone continues long enough, they will be successful. That's my
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
Success is whatever success means. They will be
Yeah.
survive. They will survive, which is the
Yeah.
first level of
100%.
success. What
100%.
sustenance? Yeah, sustenance, success, sustenance, stability, and then whatever comes after that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, 100%. And I know you have a lot of tips on hiring, but I know the show is going to go on for about 3 hours if we get into that too much. So I feel like I need to get you back on maybe one of the pre-recorded shows so we can do it in the daytime. You don't need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and ride your bike around the
John,
dangerous Bali streets.
with you, we can do. I mean, it's pretty close. So with you, we can do. If you want to do at 4 a.m. for you, I'll wake up at 4 a.m. It's okay. I think
Oh,
that's
thanks, Anatoly.
yeah. I love you, man. So whatever you need, I'm here for you. So we can do it.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah. Whatever you think is right. Sorry, my
Yeah.
story went longer than
No, yeah, the story's great. I think the stories is what inspires people. Someone's like what they thought, why they made the decision, why they did it, and what they thought at the time. Because at the time,
yeah,
sometimes we're running away from pain and we feel like we're stuck. Oh, you're stuck in this like cycle. And
yeah,
I see it in our people, I see it myself. You get this spiral of suckiness, and then you're like, I need to make a change.
yeah,
And then hearing other people that made the change and it was all right, and their life didn't
yeah,
explode, and they failed a couple
yeah,
of times, and it took 2 years, and they spent through, and then they made real
yeah.
money and traveled the world.
And
I mean, it's great.
for people listening, quick disclaimer: I'm very far from like having it all figured out. So there's definitely every day I'm in this mode where like, okay, new things are coming that I did not expect, and I think that's life. So please look at that and think that I have things figured out. I will discourage you to think that I'm not. But there are some things I did figure out that works for me, and I just keep them and work on other things. It's fine. It's
Mm,
all about perspective in my
exactly,
opinion. Yeah.
for sure. And I hope somebody watching here, decides to take it up and try it out, And Preeti says, loves listening to your story, Anatoly. So yeah, thanks for
Thank you,
sharing, Preeti.
Thank you.
What a pretty name.
Yes.
Yes. Great name. That's a terrible pun, isn't it? Just like what would be another great pun? It would be a delicate procedure to move out to Asia. That's an inside joke. All right. So, all right. So, let's actually hit what we try to do here at the Amazon Strategist Show, changing tack slightly, is that we always try to run something that's super engaging that gets people to enter and kind of have fun with the show. And always we ask our guests to put forward 1 to 3 prizes. I mean, 3 is the best because then they stay on the game longer and they get advertised for longer to our listeners.
Awesome.
We're going to announce some winners first, and then we're going to go into the show, into the game. Sorry. So let's first see what Anatoly has put on the wheel.
Ooh.
So, well, hopefully you should know, Anatoly. Otherwise, we're volunteering your time.
It's okay.
So,
no,
Anatoly
I'm making sound effects. Ooh.
We do need some sound effects, actually. We need some music for the background. We need to work on that for next week. Just like some suspense building music. Yeah, like the countdown music when we spin the wheel. Yeah. So we have a free 15-minute call. Not free. Very expensive, but free. 15-minute call to look at your Amazon product with Anatoly. Anatoly has been very successful with some products and done 6 figures in a very small amount of time with some of his product launches, which we didn't even get into, but just to share. Sure. You can have a 15-minute call with Anatoly about automating parts of your life and living in a beautiful state, because that's the real reason to automate parts of your life, isn't it? And a 15-minute call about how to build networks. I mean, I met Anatoly through something, I don't know, maybe through one of our outreach programs on Seller Candy originally. I'm not sure. We'll check my LinkedIn. I'm sure it's one of our outreach
Daniel
guys.
Fernandez. Shout out to Daniel Fernandez.
Oh, through the co-working space. Yes, Daniel was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and me and Daniel catch up every 2 weeks. So Daniel's a super awesome technical Amazon guy. Should anyone want to listen to anyone who talks about the real, like, deep strategic part of running an Amazon business. Yeah. All right, so they're the 3 things, and let's jump in and announce the winners after this short logo break. I love that. Best $100 ever spent. All right, so we have we need a drum roll. Z, we have a free consultation with Z. So determine the best way to expand your business internationally. It's a consultation call. They'll help you go through your products, see whether you have opportunities outside of your main marketplace, and then consult you on how to launch it. And the winner of that is Stephen. Only known as Stephen. We have your email though, so we'll reach out to you. If you're called Stephen, it's you that's won.
Good job, Stephen.
Next, we have from Chris Grant last Friday. Chris Grant is one of the biggest influencers in the online arbitrage space and one of our biggest affiliates. He has given a free copy of his online OA challenge replays, so online arbitrage challenge. So online arbitrage is a great way to add an income stream to your business. I mean, under his tutelage, people have done hundreds of millions of dollars in sales in online arbitrage. And he's given away a free copy of his course. He runs it as a live thing, like 3 times a year. And he's given away a recording copy. And the winner of that is Pete Cicarielli. Is that right?
Go, Pete.
Well done, Pete. Well, Pete. And I'm really looking forward to introducing you to Chris. He's an awesome dude. And in general, I think you'll get a lot of value out of that. And the final one, Daniel Fernandez. So somebody has won a 20-minute call with Daniel Fernandez. Knowing Daniel, it's going a little bit longer than 20 minutes, so I think you'll be all good. And that's Lisa Raimondo. I'm butchering everyone's names today. I need to practice before. That's the bit I need to practice on the show, just saying people's names.
Lisa, you're lucky,
Lisa,
girl.
Congratulations. Worth $1,000.
Awesome.
Awesome. So congratulations to our winners, and let's jump into our latest competition right now. And wow, already there. Bring up the wheel.
Look
So
at that.
on top of, I'm trying to see what's on it. Yeah, we need to actually make the thing smaller. Last time we spun it and we hadn't put the names on properly, so it was a challenge to figure out who'd won what. But now it's all sorted. So let us do it. And Anatoly, you have control. All you have to do is say, "Spin that wheel," and the wheel spins.
Spin that wheel. Love
This is
it.
where we need the music. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Ping pong. Secret.
Secret under market
Under
rate.
market rate.
So this is cool. So I interviewed Matt, who's the partnerships manager at Ping Pong. Matt's an awesome guy. And basically he said anyone who wants to do international payments, whether that's paying your supplier, if you're in the US, or receiving money if you're outside the US, basically he can give you a rate which he can't share publicly, but he can get you the best rate. So we'll intro you and you can get the best international transfer rates that are not publicized, especially for our listeners as a partner of ours.
Wow.
So, all right. Do you want to do it again, Anatoly? We can do it a few times if you want.
Oh, more. Spin that wheel.
I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff on here. I mean, it's tens of thousands of dollars in that rate if you do a lot of transfers every month.
Zone Guru, free business.
Health check. So, John Tilley from Zone Guru came on the podcast. He offered a free business health check, and the really cool thing about Zone Guru is they're really good at listing optimization, listing SEO. So whether you want to talk about listing SEO or whether you want to talk about launch strategies, Zone Guru are great guys to chat with, and their software is great, specifically on the SEO stuff. Really cool.
Awesome.
So someone will win that next time. We'll announce that next time. And you want to do one more?
Sure. Spin that wheel.
It's like a slot machine now, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm getting addicted.
Just keep going.
Just stay for longer.
Giving away money. Oh, no. And it's you.
Yay.
We get the automation call. So we will be introducing someone to you, Anatoly, in about a week when we do the next live show. And I believe that Brian Johnson is on next week, I think. So the big man himself, and we'll get him to announce it, or we'll announce it with him.
Awesome. Love it. Look forward to whoever wins it. I look forward to. I'll do my best to get you as much value as I can. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Thanks, Anatoly. And what I should have said when we announced the winners is, if you want a chance to win these prizes that we just announced now, enter on the URL, which is posted in all the comments below this live video, in the description, and also is probably going to appear on the screen in a few seconds. There we are.
Amazing.
And I think that's enough. We've done enough spins. So thank you for helping with the competition. You have been the best, beautiful assistant in ever.
Anytime. I'm gonna be here all the time now, just saying spin that wheel. You can just hire me for that.
Well, we don't hire you. We've got you on video. We can just press the button. It's the spin that wheel button.
Smart. Yes, just put me in.
So what we have now is the rapid fire question section.
Ooh.
What we do here is you have 9 questions this time. Sometimes our team puts the other ones in, and basically we ask you 9 questions. You have 1-word answers, or maybe 2 or 3 words if you want, and 1 second to answer. So it's rapid fire.
Wow. Okay.
Too much time, we move on. Last time we had a question which somebody couldn't answer, so there aren't that many countries that begin with certain letters. So this one's easier, I think.
Okay.
But this time, much more straightforward. But we got stuck last time. All right. So don't be nervous. But this is your life.
I'm not nervous at all, man. I'm just not nervous at all right now.
All right. Number 1. What is your favorite Amazon niche?
Kitchen and dining.
If you could choose no pictures or no reviews, what would you pick?
No reviews.
Name a country that starts with the letter T.
Tajikistan.
Is that a country? Which Amazon marketplace is the next big opportunity?
Singapore.
Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Yes. Fuck yes. 2 words.
Name something appealing about working from home.
Sweatpants.
Google or Facebook ads?
Facebook.
Name something you'd hate to find swimming around in your bathtub.
Shit.
Like
I don't know.
Amazon or Walmart? Amazon or Walmart?
I'm at Walmart. Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah. No, it just makes me think of, was it Mr. Hankey? You watched South Park when you were younger?
No.
Okay, never mind. All right. Answer one of your questions. All right. That's awesome. Thank you. You have passed. You are our best ever guest on rapid fire questions as well. No one has
Especially
ever answered
that
two of those
bathroom
answers
question.
All right. Oh no, I was going to tell a story then, and not a very appropriate story. No, we're looking after a puppy at the moment, and when he goes to the bathroom, you need to remove it. Otherwise, he will also move it around.
Yes.
Move it around the house.
I mean, for people who don't know what I meant when I said, shit, if you have kids, you would know.
Yeah.
No diapers.
All right.
I mean, you can find one. Not appropriate, but just saying that, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, get it. All right. So before we get into the questions, if people do want to contact you, follow you, get more information, stalk you, what's the best way to do that?
Stalk me all the time, guys. 10 million journey, 10millionjourney.com. Yeah, just listen to cool episodes. I do free different ones. Some of them relate to Amazon. It's like free options I have there. One is weekly business update. I share with you my strategies, how I do things, or rather short. Bali special is mind-blowing stories about Bali. And there's Amazon related ones where if you just want to learn about e-commerce because you're listening to podcasts, you want to learn about e-commerce, listen to all e-commerce. They have 270 episodes with all kinds of different people. So yeah, LinkedIn, Define Agile on YouTube if you're into Agile.
Yeah, that's awesome. Every way, follow, stalk Anatoly, listen to his podcast. Do listen to his podcast because we're sponsoring it right now. So
yes, thank you.
We get more value if you listen and then come and buy Stellar Candy afterwards.
Yeah, don't forget the code. Don't forget the code when you buy it, because then John will like me even more.
Spektor would be the best code, actually, wouldn't it? Because Spektor's the evil organization in the James Bond universe.
I know.
Isn't it?
I was thinking about that, but then it's already sort of taken. So I don't know.
Use the logo. No, actually, we've already got Spektor because Spektor is also an affiliate of Stellar Candy.
All right.
James Bond villains.
Yeah.
So let's get into the Q&A section. Preeti, do you have any questions? Anyone else watching on whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn? Not everyone shows here, so anything you send will actually get forwarded through the system slowly, usually.
Okay.
Here we are from Twitter. Do I put this one up? Can I automate my taxes?
Yes, just hire an accountant.
Automation.
Hire an accountant. Yes.
Yep.
That's what I did. I know not much about taxes, but if you need to really invest in an accountant, pay them a lot and make sure they don't screw up. So maybe have a second opinion to start, because taxes are very complicated, but definitely hire an accountant.
Yeah, I agree. And especially with Americans, from what I understand from my American friends, like you can go back, was it 3 or 5 years in your taxes? So changing accountant once every 3 years is like best practice, so that they can go back, check your last accountant's work. You continuously have double checking and refiling if you have any problems like that.
Please don't hire accountants who are very cheap. I had that when I started, and then my now accountant had to redo a whole bunch of things, costing me a whole bunch of money. Don't do that.
I totally agree there. And the same thing, which is never take business advice from your accountant, because they will give you the accounting input, not the business advice, and it costs a lot of money. And don't take business advice from your accountant either.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're how from Instagram, how can I apply these live automation things to an Amazon business?
Well,
Automation things.
that's a good question. I mean, first of all, if you're running everything yourself on Amazon, I recommend you don't, because, well, if you're doing your photography and you're doing a listing optimization and you're doing your PPC and everything, I personally don't. If you ask me, the only thing I do is I check if everything is going all right and do some thinking about what are the next products. I don't do anything else in my Amazon business, and
Mm.
I don't think you should too. Find people who are amazing at what they do, who can uh, treat them very well, and we can talk about how finding them in the next episode if you do want to. John reminds me, but yeah, uh, it's a lifestyle business. If you're spending all your time being nervous about this business and working on it all the time instead of enjoying your life, you need to automate parts of it. Some of them are very easy. Hire a photographer, hire a copywriter. They don't cost you much. You go to Fiverr, pay them $100. They'll do your copy. At least you already have the copy. Now you can change it to the way you want it. Your PPC, get the tools. Don't like, you either rely on automated tools from people, and hopefully both, that people can look at automated tools and make sure they're running fine. So that would be my quick answer, because I like to go into tangents.
No, me too.
But happy
Trust
to
me.
answer any, if you have any follow-up questions. I'm happy to answer that, but this is just like a general. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's yeah, you're right. I mean, Amazon, most of us get into an Amazon business. I mean, firstly, I think it's a lot of people's first business, Amazon. And because back in the day, and even now, if you get the right product, you can be successful
Yeah.
very quickly. Um, and then you learn a
Yeah.
lot of business lessons when you realize that profit isn't cash, which
Yes.
is most people's lesson as they start growing an Amazon business, which is why we started the Amazon Strategy Show in the first place, to talk about
Yeah.
the real strategy, which is, how to actually make money, not just
Yeah.
paper money and pay taxes.
Yeah. The quick note, the worst thing is that there's a lot of these people who are saying it's an easy money, you can just go and make money, you don't have to do work, etc., and then you can make a lot. They're showing you screenshots of like $1 million. Please be aware of that $1 million, even if they show it doesn't mean that they put the $1 million in their pocket. Often it's either some of them are in debt, so they
Yeah,
need this $1 million to pay down the debt, and some of them just making as much as regular employees, like, I don't know, 100K. I don't know, maybe not regular
oh,
employees, but like 50K, 100K. So if $1 million
exactly.
doesn't mean that you're making $1 million, just your revenue. So don't get fooled, please. And don't
Yeah,
get to
for sure.
Amazon because it's an easy way to do things. Get to Amazon because you want to build amazing product to serve good people.
I totally agree. That's yeah, I mean, $1 million in sales doesn't mean anything. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you're starting out, like, we launched a product, sold, I think, just under $1 million of it. This was just a side product from like a viral product we were doing. Stuck with a lot of inventory, liquidated a lot of inventory. I think after doing it, we walked away, me and a business partner, because we did it together, like 60 to 80 grand or something like that.
See,
And then we had to pay to
exactly.
close down the business. So yeah, maybe we both walked away with like 30 grand each for just this stupid 2-year project. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, $1 million
But
in sales.
But now imagine somebody would work in the office and make much more. So if you're into
Mm.
money, having just a job might be enough for you. If you're into building cool stuff, that's different. So please don't get fooled that you can quit your job and go travel around and be like super happy. There are many easier ways to do it than to run the business that requires you to know about shipping, marketing, sourcing, and all running teams and all kinds of those things. So yeah, just a disclaimer.
Yeah. But on the other side, it's
On
really
the other
fun meeting
side,
amazing people,
yes.
meeting cool people, adding value, as you said, treating
Yeah,
people
it's a
well.
journey. It's
A journey.
definitely a journey. Yeah, that's lots of fun, and you learn a lot and you grow a lot. So if you really want to grow and be amazing, maybe you should do an Amazon business. Who knows?
Yeah, I never advise if someone asks me if they should start an Amazon business, I find it very hard. With Seller Candy, that's why I like working with people who are already scaling,
Yeah,
because everyone can be successful with a long enough time horizon.
yeah,
If we think in a long enough time horizon, unless you die before you're there, you're successful, aren't you? So
Yeah.
I
But
think
then what I want to say, if you're asking somebody if you should start something, maybe you shouldn't because you're not 100% sure. Because I mean, I would go with a gut feeling. If you feel this is something I have to do, that's my mission, go for it. If you're just like, maybe I should start to make some money, maybe you should do something else that brings you joy and money.
yeah, just monetize your skill set. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's something I want to teach my kids, when they start learning, is to, how to package what you do in a way that you can make money from it, just
Yeah,
by what you know. And
yeah,
I think that's what they don't teach in school, and that's what was really sad. I was saying this to someone, maybe it's Warren, on our team, and just saying, like, I saw that you see these things, these rich kids who these people have super wealthy families, have kids, send them to super expensive schools, and then they get reprogrammed at the school by the teachers, who are not obviously not super wealthy because they're teachers. Like, oh, you should be working for a living, and this is how the world works.
Yeah.
Because no more are people spending time with their kids and teaching them how they think. It's the schools like program them, and then the kid grows up and wants to give away all the money and says they shouldn't be wealthy. So it's
Yeah.
just, it's only the parents to blame, I think, because it's a different way that they're educating them.
100%. I'm with you 100%.
All right, one more question from Instagram. Do you give? Oh, sorry,
Somebody decided to join my room, but we're
come
saying
into the
no.
cubicle.
No, it's very good.
Sorry, we're only there. Do you give aspects of your life that you're not interested dealing with to freelancers or staff?
We give aspect of life, yes. I mean, Bali is a little bit different. You live in Bali, you can do a bunch of things that people can take care of. Again, I don't really cook. I don't wash dishes. I don't clean my house because this is pretty affordable in Bali. Doesn't mean that it's affordable in everywhere, but it is pretty affordable here. And pay as much as I would pay in Vancouver for an apartment, let's say. But yeah, things like I find there are things I like to do. There are things that are hard to do. Let's say scheduling appointments and making sure, because I sometimes screw up the timing and stuff like that. So what I do is I have Frances. If you're listening, Frances, you're amazing. She's my assistant, so she knows my calendar. I have some available spots that she can book for meetings, and then I just send her a WhatsApp message. John wants to come on a podcast. Please schedule that. And she looks at templates. She sends John some templates. She finalizes time with John. She books John. She books a studio, and she's doing that. The same with, like, let's say, the podcasting, which is sort of my lifestyle. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do social media. Only thing I know is how to take a microphone and talk for a long time about my story when I'm supposed to talk about some useful tips. So what I do is I record things, I put it on Dropbox, and then my team take care of that. So I try to find what is my core strengths, and something that I don't like to do, I always automate. And I'll be honest, these days, thankfully, I don't really do, like, I don't know what chores would I do. Yeah, I don't even can think of. I mostly do things that I choose to do, not I have to do. So yeah, I don't know if that helps. How is a good question. If I were you, I would ask how instead of do, because how is the interesting part, and do is I just bragging and looking like I'm the spoiled guy from Bali, which is I'm just sharing. I'm not want to say that this is common, and I'm not want to say it's just the way it became. So. Yeah, I don't want to brag by any means. There's a lot of people who automate much better than me, and but I just don't do those things that take my time and don't bring me value. And I try to maximize my time. And if watching Netflix bring me value today, it makes me. I don't watch a lot, but sometimes I do. If it makes me just unwind, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You have a choice. Yeah,
Netflix. No, sorry, just to bring up anyone who's watching this, I've been telling everyone for last week because I got super into this. I watched a movie. You can't watch this with your kids; they're too young. It's called RRR. It's a Hindi movie on Netflix.
Okay.
Just 3-letter R's. 3 hours long. It's half in Hindi, half in English, and it's like I described it as like Rambo mixed with Commando, like that Schwarzenegger movie Commando, mixed with like some Bollywood dance singing epic with like crazy over the top like CGI used, but used in different ways from crazy American movies. So they do like stuff that, like in American movies, half the stuff they do is completely physically impossible. This is also that, but in a different way. Like animals attacking other animals, the guys like bro dancing and broing down while fighting like crazy, like fighting with one on the other guy's shoulders, and they both weigh like 90 kilos. Like it's great. It's hilarious and over the top action movie, and kind of violent.
I'll give it a try. Actually, my kids also don't watch any TV, so I made a choice. They only watch it. They only can watch a little bit of YouTube when they drive in a car. When they behave, when I cannot handle it, I'm like, maybe you should watch that. But they don't watch it TV.
No, I'd love to. I mean, sometime we can chat about parenting, because I guess we're gonna have kids. I'm gonna have kids in a few years, and I know your kids go to a Montessori school as well, don't they? Because I met one of your friends who also has his kids there. My mind has gone blank.
Love it.
Sweet. Any more questions? We're coming up to the hour. So,
is it officially the longest thing we had?
No, not officially. Oh, we're getting there, to be honest. We try and keep it not too long, just for purposes. But we can stay here forever, to be honest. We can stay on until we'll both be up for another 12 hours, the longest ever live stream.
Yeah, the longest live stream of answering questions. How much of this automation is outsourcing? Most of it. I mean, there are two ways you can automate things. One, you can do it with a software or with the people, hiring people. Most of the stuff, like I need a haircut, I cannot automate with the software.
Maybe might cut your head off though.
Yeah. So I need to go and somebody do a haircut. To book an appointment, I need somebody to book an appointment. So it was pretty hard to do. Or there's one place in Bali that will take you to. They have like reservations 2 months in advance. It's just all booked all the time.
Haircuts.
What's that?
For haircuts booked 2 months in advance.
No. I mean,
your haircut's pretty. I'm not going to say it's not advanced, but I think I could do your haircut.
I jump topics. Like another example, there was this restaurant, amazing restaurant in Bali that I'll take you to. I'm not going to take you to a haircut, but if you want, I will.
Maybe a beard trim. I want to get like one of those hipster beard trims, and I bet Bali's got a hipster
I know
beard
the
trim.
guy. I know the guy. So this restaurant requires 2 months reservation in advance, and then they only open it up like on the 1st of every month, and it's all taken. So if I want to get there, the only way for me either to wake up, let's say, and sit there and wait and get stressed out, or I can say, Francis, you're so cool. Put on your calendar every 1st of the month, just make your reservation to the place. And when John comes, I want to go to John's cool place that is hard to get. So things like that. So software or people. And I don't know if there's a third way. Somebody needs to let me know, because I'll try to use that too.
Androids. Yeah, no, it's great.
I mean, the third one is not doing it at all, which is a better choice. Like if sometimes you just need to drop it, stop doing them. That's your life automation number one. Make sure you do less, and then everything you do, automate with software or people, and what you enjoy, do yourself.
Cool. And also segue enter the competition, so you can get a 15-minute call with Anatoly, who can help you automate everything in your life in 15 minutes. So whatever you can get through in 15 minutes.
Haircut, I'll automate
that. I've recently got a trimmer, so I think it would save time, mainly for the beard though. If I tried to cut my own hair, I think it would look terrible. Although I have been considering shaving my head, which might look interesting. I'm very white. I feel like I would reflect the light though if that happened.
Okay, get them a sun for a couple of days, it'll be fine.
No, I mean, this is 6 years of tan, 7 years of tan, being in Southeast Asia. I'm very much an English man.
All right.
Any more questions before we wrap up today? I hate it when I come and do the outro. All right. Well, going 3. So I guess this brings this to the end of this episode. Anatoly, thanks for being this afternoon's guest on the Amazon Strategist Show. And if you're watching this show or watching a recording, more likely, because most people watch on the recordings, please do subscribe, add a comment, stalk us, whatever you can do to push us up the rankings, because the more comments and likes, the more people we can get on, and the more high-level guests we can get on, like Anatoly. So the more people we get on, the more momentum we have, and the more social proof we have. So thank you so much for watching the Amazon Strategy Show. Thank you for being on, Anatoly, and have an amazing week, everyone.
Bye-bye.